Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. It's another story by one of our great travel warriors, Sharon Polsky, hailing from Calgary, Canada. And this time, Sharon has gone off to Japan and she has quite a story to tell. Sharon, what the heck happened on your trip to Japan and what do you want to share?
Oh, the trip to Japan, it was my second time there. The first time was a year ago. I was invited to speak at a UN conference and completely new experience. I've been to Europe, I've been elsewhere, but the people, the culture, it is so very different. And the reaction of people, I mean, it's almost commonplace for someone in North America to go to Europe, but wow, you went to Japan. This time, I went again and did it instead of flying there. I did a trans-Pacific cruise, 12 days on Royal Caribbean. It was a lovely way of checking out of everyday life and just having 12 days to watch the horizon, the sunrise, the sunset. It was a lovely escape. Of course, I was still connected and business continues and meetings, and that's fine. But once you get to Japan, again, there was a few stops along the way at different ports of call, and the welcome was absolutely tremendous. This is the first time that the Quantum of the Seas had made these ports of call. So the townsfolk and the dignitaries came to greet the ship and great celebrations. And it was what an introduction to these towns. And then the ship docked in Yokohama and I went up to Tokyo and had an amazing welcome at the Imperial Palace Hotel. This is one that I knew of from my days in college years ago when I was studying architecture, and architects would come with their carousel of slides and talk about different projects. And one of them talked about the Imperial Palace Hotel and how it had been designed by Frank Lloyd Wright and survived. It opened on the same day in 1923 as a massive earthquake hit, and the building sustained some damage, but basically it was okay. And there's parts of the original building that remain in Tokyo. The bulk of it has been disassembled, moved to another location in Japan. It is being preserved. It is a cultural landmark. The hotel itself, as it is now, it is bright. You walk in and the lobby, I mean, you could fit the lobbies of probably 5 or 7 hotels in Canada. Major hotels. You could fit them into the lobby. That's 3 stories high. It is grand. It is sophisticated. It is spectacular. The word tacky doesn't come into the lexicon. Believe me, Edwin, it is gorgeous. The people are welcoming. And for anybody concerned about language, their English is beautiful.
Now, is there any waiting in the lobby as we commonly have when we check into a hotel in the United States?
No, there was 5 bellmen in beautifully tailored uniforms at the door. I counted at the registration desk 29 people. There is no waiting. It's incredible. It's not a matter, just after that, I was invited to speak at a conference in Toronto, stayed at a lovely Marriott. There was that conference, 600 people. There was another judicial conference of several other 100 people. There was 2 people at the registration desk. There was waiting. In Japan at the Imperial Palace Hotel, this is one, it sets the bar for others, really and truly. And I'm not one to be very effusive with compliments. This one here in Japan was really quite spectacular.
And how was the food at the Imperial and generally in Tokyo and Japan?
The food is at the hotel, you've got a complete range. Everything from the most sophisticated Wagyu beef to a hamburger. I had a hamburger. Believe me, it's not what you find in Canada or the States or even Europe. The spicing, the flavoring, the presentation. and the care that they take. It's the demeanor of the people that is just so striking. Almost sounds negative, but the demeanor is lovely. It's not that they put the plate down on the table. They present your meal and they place it on the table. It's subtle, but it's such a difference. Of course, with the sterling silver and the silver plated cutlery and the china, that's normal. That's just regular. In the room, it was the same. Custom fine bone china, a beautiful selection of tea, bathrobe perfectly tied and placed, pajamas placed at your bedside. Attentiveness like I have never seen before.
Well, tell us about the staff and about the way you were ushered into to your room. Do they have the type of exclusivity that we found in Mexico City hotels and Israeli hotels in terms of ushering you to your room?
Well, I've never been ushered into an elevator where somebody from the hotel presses the elevator button to summon it, holds the door open, and as I walk in, they bow and they stay in a bowed position until the doors have completely closed. Get to my floor, there's somebody there. Uh, in this case, it was one of the executive floors, and the concierge on the floor, there's three geishas, women in full traditional geisha outfits, who again would greet you at the door as the elevator opened, hold it open the door to where the hallway where the rooms are, and they were lovely. English, not a problem. If you want anything, just dial 9 and they are there. And really, you go out of your room and come back 5 minutes later and the room has been refreshed.
And what about meals out on the street in Tokyo? Did you eat Japanese? Did you eat American? Did you eat international? What about the language barrier?
Oh no, when I am somewhere, I prefer to eat what the locals eat. I can get a steak at home anytime. So I went completely Japanese, ramen, sushi, noodles. It is really quite startling, though, that noodles, rice, carbohydrates are a normal part of the diet. And I didn't see anybody that was even plump. There's a lot of walking though. So you eat a bowl of noodles, ramen with all the fixings. If you ever get a chance to try Japanese curry soup, it's not the hot type of curry from India and other places. The flavor is indescribable. One of the things I had done on my first trip was I had a bowl of ramen in Tokyo Central Station. Tokyo Station is the main hub for the local subways, bus lines, of course, the highway buses, and all of the trains, the high-speed trains that crisscross Japan that really are a lovely experience. And that Tokyo Station has several different floors, about 4 floors, and you can get anything from household items to fashion, food, uh, anything, even furniture. And I was in one of the restaurants the first time with a bowl of ramen, and it was great. When I was there this year, I would like to go back to the train station and have a bowl of ramen, and we did, and it was wonderful. The street food, and a lot of the restaurants for the street food are under the train tracks. It's not train tracks on pillars somewhere up in the air. It's the train tracks with a full structure beneath it, with shops, with stores, with liquor stores, with lots of restaurants. It is wonderful.
Well, you mentioned liquor. Did you have a chance to sample some Japanese whiskey, which is among the best in the world?
I didn't while I was there this year. Last year, I brought back a bottle, and
And
it really we've been savoring it. It is really quite lovely.
Where did you go outside of Tokyo, and what were your experiences?
Well, the different ports of call, one was at Akita. Uh, when I travel, I learn how ignorant I am, probably how many people are ignorant of how to pronounce things properly. Here we call it an Akita dog, or you go to Akita. No, it's Akita. So uh, you learn, you change how you do it. So, to me, it's a matter of respect, but it's a lovely town, again, with celebrations to greet the travelers. There was an area devoted to the Akita dogs. You can go and talk to people. This is just a normal thing that is there for tourists to come and see what are these dogs all about. Um, a Shinto shrine where I learned that the shrine is not the building, the structure, it is the entire grounds of the parks, the trees, the land on which that building sits. All of it is a shrine. Very, very educational, fascinating. Sapporo, one of the first stops that the ship made was to Sapporo, but we got there and then discovered that it's the port of call closest to Sapporo. So you'd have to go to the train station, get a ticket, hop on a high speed train, scoot off to Sapporo, see what you can, race back in time for the ship to depart. We didn't. We just stayed in the local town and we just spent a lovely day looking not so much at tourist sites, but how do people live? The bakeries, how the food is presented, the care that they take in presenting the pastries, and to watch them being made. They're delicate. The flavors are delicate. You asked about the food. To me, it's all about family, food, and friends. And the food there, no matter where we went, was quite amazing. One of the places we went to is known for tea. So there was a tea ceremony open to the public in one of their malls, which is about, in this case, 3 blocks long, shops on either side. It's a beautifully tiled walkway with a covered, like an arcade, a 3 block long arcade. And there was volunteers who were interpreters. In our case, a young lady from the Carolinas who was living in Japan uh, with a tag interpreter. She stayed with us for most of the day in this shop and that shop. The tea, there was, as I say, a special tea ceremony. And I bought the ceremonial green tea that they used to bring home. And I'm glad I did because after we came home, Japan put a moratorium on the export of green tea because apparently matcha tea has become very popular in the West. So I'm glad I got what I did when I did.
All right, so listen, Sharon, I guess as one of our travel warriors, you're recommending that listeners to the show, the next time they're thinking of crossing the Atlantic, they might give a pause and think about crossing the Pacific and visiting Japan.
Absolutely, especially if you're concerned at all about safety or you like to be in clean surroundings. There is no crime. Japan doesn't tolerate criminal activity. And I didn't see any litter or any graffiti. I recommend go there if you at all can. It's terrific.
Thank you, Sharon, and we'll see everybody next time.